place to be, where art, life, and spirituality connects you and me. Science of mind and spirit, the foundation we teach and live. Love, joy, and belonging are the gifts we have to give. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one life, one mind, one infinite, eternal, self-existent. 'Cause we pause, embodying all that we are. We shine like a glorious star. Our consciousness, our being, open at the bottom, open at the top. We're not simply one with God, but we are it itself. It will never stop. SIA, our spiritual center, family and home. It's where we come to practice and remember there is only one. Spirituality is our way of life. We value laughter, truth, and justice. We express artistry as our living practice. So come and join us at SIA. Know you found a community that will love you every day.
Namaste, greetings and blessings, and welcome to the Center for Spiritually Integrated Arts. This is our Sunday message, and I am Reverend Dr. Raymond Anderson, the founder and spiritual director of this center. And I invite you to watch not only this Sunday message, but any of our archived messages. I invite you to join any classes or events that we have going on. I invite you to reach out and email if you have any questions. Questions about this community, questions about me, questions about what we do, or questions about this science of mind and spirit, liberation theology that we practice and teach. And if by chance you find yourself seeking beloved community with other like-minded beings, even if you already belong, are a member of another community, church, or center, you are more than free to have multiple affiliations wherever you are fed and find community. You are invited. And lastly, feel free to click like, subscribe, and share this or any other message or announcements with others in your circle. And with that, much appreciation, love, and blessings. Enjoy the message.
SIA is the place to be. So buckle up, we're making history. And if you are willing, repeat after me. I am love. I am love. it right. One more time. I am love. I am joy. I am divine. Amen. Yes, you are. Amen. Yes, you are. Now today's message begins.
You said what? Do it. But we're talking about changing the world. What do you mean, do it? Especially since I know what you said before. You said, want to change the world? There's nothing to it. Oh, you said we're recording now? Hello, everybody. So here we go. March 22nd. Are you ready for the events that today will unfold for us? So, do you want to change the world? Do you want to create a world that works for all? Is that what you want? Is that what you're aiming for? Because if it is, then yes, we should do it. What becomes possible when we make the conscious choice to change the world? What becomes possible? When we actively engage, when we actively embody, when we actively move from that place of our truth and our power, our creative power of imagination, faith, belief, love. What happens when we step into that and explore and explode from that space? And then we eliminate this idea of needing to pursue happiness. Because when we do this, create a world that works for all, happiness becomes a universally experienced truth. Everybody gets it. Nobody needs to pursue it unless that's their choice, but it's there. So this week, what are we doing? We are going to explore how joy, justice, equity, and inclusion, love and compassion can be used to transform not only our lives individually, but the collective experience of the world. Breathe. Because what's the point in just one of us having great life and other people and the animals can't, and you know, the monkey over in Japan come on now. We're all sharing this amazing blue marble of a home, so why not make it the best for everyone and everything? Why not? This thing called change begins within. Our mental equivalent is where it begins. And it is from that place and that power, quote unquote, within, external. When we express love, just feeling love is one thing. Expressing it is something different. Having an idea in my mind for a painting is one thing. Actually painting it is something else. And then offering it so that others can enjoy it is something else. So what kind of sovereign choices are we making? What are the actions that demonstrate our stewardship of our spiritual truths and power in how we are using them to shape life itself, to shape government and education and medical care and all other things in amazing, life-affirming ways? Breathe. So you want to change the world. What is yours to do? If you want to change the world, then you have to first identify what is yours to do, because we are not here to do everything. You know, if you go to a restaurant, depending on the size of the restaurant, of course, there are usually more than, one person in the kitchen. And if it's a restaurant, surely there's more than one person running. The person taking your order and the person running the cash register and the person cooking and the person washing dishes. Usually it's not just one person. Because if that's the case, then that's called Tracy. Breathe. So once you identify what is yours to do, then the idea is, okay, so how many people does it actually take to change the world? I mean, how many people? That's what I just asked. Okay, what did you say? One, especially when one person joins with another one and they become one pair. And then one pair becomes one group, one team, one community, one system, one movement, one world. It only takes one. So, to what degree are we ready to be that one? To join with another one? One person can make a difference. And though John F. Kennedy said, and everyone should try, rather than Yoda said, do or do not, there is no try. So one person can make a difference and everyone should do it. The power of one is fearless and focused and formidable. To what degree are you willing to fear less, to be focused, and to be formidable in your creation? One person can have, and in fact does have, an effect on life, because each one person is an incarnation of the absolute. You are an expression of oneness, a divine incarnation of God. So, of course, one person can. By any chance, do you know who these gentlemen are? And if you know who they are, because if you know who they are, then you know why I'm showing them. But any idea? Okay, let me give you a hint. Anything now? Okay, what about this? Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. So you know what they're known for? Possibly. Maybe you don't. So let me share. These two gentlemen are responsible for us even knowing who the Avengers are, because these two gentlemen created the Avengers comic book. Well, characters, which then became the films that we may be familiar with. But they didn't just create the Avengers. Stan Lee and Jack Kirby collaborated to create a massive portion of the Marvel Universe back in the 1960s, right? Their partnership, which frequently used what they referred to as the Marvel method, where Jack Kirby plotted and drew from a synopsis that Stan Lee would write. And then later he would add the dialogue. They produced various iconic characters and teams, such as the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, the X-Men, Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and many, many others, including Black Panther. And I'm specifically referencing Black Panther for a very specific reason that is yet to come. Because had they not created Black Panther as a character that then became a comic book, then Black Panther as a comic book would have never become Black Panther, a character in a movie. And okay, so wait, let's breathe this in. So had the character never became a comic book, the comic book would have never become a movie, or the character would have never been in a movie, which means that Chadwick would have never auditioned for the role or been placed in the role, which means we would never identify him as T'Challa, which means his influence as T'Challa, the Black Panther, would not have been what it was with many of the children and fans that he impacted with his life. Follow the stream of consciousness. Can one person make a difference? Without a doubt. Because when Chadwick made his transition, it impacted how the movie changed, how Ryan Coogler changed the scope of the film, how the cast grieved. It changed pop culture. It changed. When these children felt it, they took their action figures and needed to, in their own way, processing their grief, honor Chadwick as the Black Panther. They were mourning and grieving. And as Mark Ruffalo, the actor who plays the Hulk, all I have to say is the tragedies amassing this year have only been made more profound by the loss of Chadwick Boseman. What a man, and what an immense talent. Brother, you were one of the all-time greats, and your greatness was only beginning. Lord love you. Rest in power, King. One person does, in fact, make a difference. And we get to choose, to a certain degree, what difference that is going to be. Now, none of us, Chadwick couldn't have predicted the immense stardom and fandom as a result of him playing Black Panther. But once he recognized it, he leaned into it. Change will not come if we wait for some other person or if we wait for some other time. We are the ones we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. So instead of making it about some politician or whatever, be it. How do each of us step into the space of being the change? Being the force of evolution, the power of love. We can change the world, and we can make it a better place, because it is in our hands to make a difference. Nelson Mandela made a difference. He made a difference before he was imprisoned. He made a difference while imprisoned. And he made a difference once he got out of prison. Are we ready to make a difference? The science of mind can help us be the change we want to see in the world, but we must know what that change is, and we must be willing to be what is needed. See, it's one thing to say, I want change in the world. It's an altogether different thing to actually be part of the solution. So, in terms of, once again, we don't need to know the whole scope of what that change is, but we must be willing to be in the mix of it. Chadwick was willing to be an actor who was willing to be in a movie, who was willing to be the character Black Panther, who was willing to embody that role to be a model and an inspiration for children in the hospital. He didn't know that that was going to lead to that here, but he was willing to be. So in the next several slides are segments from Dr. Holmes's speech, Sermon by the Sea. So I'm not going to go over all of this. I invite you to do so, however. But I want you to note that he says, find me one person who. Find me one person who. He says one person initially. Find me one person who is for something and against nothing. Yeah, we're going to talk about this whole idea of against, because many of us use that as a form of spiritual bypass, because you should be against certain things. You should be. You should be against apartheid. You should be against genocide. These are things we should be against it. Now, the thing is, are we focusing our energy on that? Or are we present that by doing this, building this thing we are for, then eradicates this? Firefighters fight against the fire, but they're not standing out there blowing and cursing. They have a method and technology that they use to quell the fire because they are for safety. And okay, you're following. Okay, both and. So once again, Dr. Holmes says, find me one person. Find me someone who has. Find me someone who has. Find me one person who can get their littleness out of the way. Find me one person who knows how to talk to God, which we know here at SIA, we don't even reference the concept of talking to God, because simply talking, I'm talking to God right now. So we're not thinking of it as talking to an external anthropomorphic God. Just want to reiterate that. Find me one person who communes with cause and effect. Find me someone who is no longer sad. And once again, he's not saying that we should not be, because this is another thing that people have used to bypass. You shouldn't be sad. No, if you need to grieve, grieve. If you need to mourn, mourn. The thing is, do not let that become an addiction that then causes you to be stuck. But feel what you need to feel. But find me someone. Find me someone whose song is, right? He's focusing on this idea of the individual can make a difference. Find me one person who no longer doubts or is no longer addicted to their doubt. They no longer, eh, eh, eh. One person. So one person can make a difference. One person can inspire a nation. One person can. There's so many things. Michelangelo, one person. Abraham Lincoln, one person. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, each one person in their respective, each one person. That these one singular people inspired people that became teams and one beloved community and one movement, and the civil rights movement was one movement made up of many individuals. And the civil rights movement inspired other similar movements that inspired and moved individuals to come together in community and solidarity to change the world. Find me one person who has so completely divorced from all arrogance, all egotistical narcissism. Find me this one person. And as a result of this person having this awareness and this stewardship and this power, then this person knowing what is theirs to do, knowing what they want to create. Do you know what you want to create? In creating a world that works for all, do you know what you want to create? Because if you know what you want to create, you can then say, well, what do I need to do to create it? And what must I be? There is a mathematical or scientific series of steps that when we identify one thing, it leads into if we are willing, and it leads into if we are willing, and it leads into. But it starts with, what are we being? And how is it informing the doing? And the doing is doing what? Dr. Holmes reminds us that you are religious science. He is only one who put something together. But we, each of us individually. And then he goes on, you find me 1,000 people who know what religious science is, who use it and live it as a way of life, as it is, and a world that works for all will be the result. We cannot continue to operate in silos and rugged individualism thinking that that's going to create a world that works for all, because it's not. So how do we step into our true power, our true awareness? Being. Identify what is ours to do. Identify what do we want to create, what needs to happen in order to create it. Life, with all its attributes of good, is something that doesn't just happen to touch a fortunate few. It is something you must create. It is something you must plan, mentally picture and think about. You who are seeking love, abundance, fortune, happiness, and success, you must understand that it is not something you may find. You cannot buy it nor borrow it from another. No one can give it to you. You must create it within yourself. In other words, you must be it. Your desires and your ideas are like seeds that you plant in the soil, but they are planted in the soil of the mind. After planting the thought seeds, you then cultivate them, nurture them, and guard them well until it is time to harvest. Then you will reap all that you have sown and more abundantly. This reads very simply. And yet many of us still will not do the work necessary to embody this and live it. Because it's easier to try to beg, borrow, and steal from someone else than to do our own work to change our mental equivalents for us to evolve and for us to then take divine stewardship, ownership, sovereignty, and do what is ours to do. Breathe. Mother Teresa said, I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the waters to create many ripples. Now, the funny thing is the paradox of if you're casting the stone, you're one person, and one person casting a stone, creating many ripples that then change the world, then you are part of the single person who's changing the world. No, you are not doing it all alone, but you alone are doing it. To what degree are we being part of the vibrational shift to change the world? To what degree, as Hank Green said, no one changes the world alone and no one doesn't change it at all. Boop, boop, ba-doo. We are all, in fact, changing the world at all times. And once again, the concept is we are not in this alone. We are collectively. That's why we talk about collective consciousness, because they're the individual consciousness, the collective consciousness, evolving consciousness. So we are not here to do it all alone, but we are here to do what is ours to do, to be in the overall mix of. Because as all of these individuals that you see on your screen, all of them have made some kind of impact in the world that rippled in some way, shape, or form, where their names are part of history. Now, you may note that at least one of these individuals is most well known for being a harbinger of evil. You know who I'm talking about, don't you? Started off as a painter, didn't do very well. Narcissistic, psychopathy. Just saying. We are all pieces of a grand puzzle that all of us fit in various ways and places, and creating this image of what is the world? What does the world look like? What do we want the world to look like? How are we part of it? Never doubt that a small group of angry, scared, and ignorant committed citizens can change the world in non-life affirming ways. Indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Sound familiar? May sound like it's coming up in a minute. There's another quote that's the life-affirming version. But understand, we are all making changes. Are we making changes that are non-life affirming? Right? This speaks very clearly to such things as the Klan, the Nazis, and more. An angry, scared, and hate-filled, ignorant group of committed citizens committed to their anger and their fear and their psychopathy. They are committed to genocide. And as a result of their commitment, we see the ripples that they are casting. And so what is our response? Do we do what we need to do to heal the consciousness of their anger, their fear, and their hate? Do we educate so they are no longer ignorant? Or do we continue to point the finger and blame? Because as Margaret says, never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, loving, compassionate, committed citizens can change the world in life-affirming ways, for indeed, it is the only thing that ever has. Thoughtful and committed. Oh, you mean like the Black Panther Party when they created the free breakfast program for children, which then created, once the government caught on, and then now we have school breakfast and lunch programs in schools and whatnot. But they took what they had, did what was theirs to do to take care of their community. They could have just, rallied it, the man, and they always got their boot on our neck, but the kids are hungry. So what did they do? They ensured that the kids were fed. Never doubt how powerful you truly are as an individual, and never doubt how powerful we are as a collective. This is why certain political leaders would prefer that certain marginalized groups don't vote, because they know the power of a single vote. And they know that when many single votes are added together, it creates a profound singular effect. And so they do their best to convince us your vote doesn't matter. You don't matter. Meanwhile, they are restructuring lines so that certain geographical areas get certain votes. But wait, I thought you said votes didn't matter. They understand the power of one. Do we understand the power of one? Do your little bit of good where you are with what you have. It is those little bits of good that put together overwhelm and change the world. Are you familiar with the starfish story? Story that reminds us that every action, no matter how quote unquote small, can and in fact does make a difference. One day, an older man was walking along a beach that was littered with thousands of starfish that had been washed ashore by the high tide. As he walked, he came upon a young boy who was eagerly throwing the starfish back into the ocean, one by one. The man looked at the boy, puzzled, and asked, "What are you doing?" The young boy paused, looked up at him, and replied, "Throwing the starfish into the ocean. The tide has washed them up onto the beach, and they can't return to the sea by themselves. When the sun gets high, they will die unless I throw them back into the water." The man replied, "But there must be tens of thousands of starfish on this beach. I'm afraid you won't really be able to make that much of a difference." The boy bent down, picked up yet another starfish, threw it as far as he could back into the ocean, turned back at the gentleman and said, "It made a difference to that one, and it made a difference to that one." To what degree are we willing to make a difference in whatever way we can, recognizing that there is no divine act so small that it is not significant? If every person in this room made it a rule that wherever you are, whenever you can, you will do your best to act a little kinder than is necessary so that the world truly can become a better place. You're shopping in a grocery store. There is no need to be kinder than necessary, but why not be? Smile at people moving up and down the aisles with you. While I do not care for small talk, there are times and places for it. And so in those moments, Tracy knows Ray is quick to strike up a conversation or do something silly or something, and there's a conversation, right? Recently, we went to the store and there was a woman taking stuff out of 2 grocery carts. And when she was done, I was like, well, I just took ours back. I can grab hers and take hers back. It wasn't necessary for me to be kind and do that. But as a result, Tracy and she struck up a conversation and laughed and, watch out for the storm and that and that. And then connections are made. And anytime connections are made, genuine connections, reminding people you are seen, you are heard, you are loved, makes all the difference in the world. So something as small as the kindness of taking the carts to the cart return bin for her. I cast a stone, knowing that the ripples. And despite his cynicism, Willy Wonka continued to be a creative visionary whose intention was to make the world a happy place. And he did this through his confections, his sweet treats. That was my candies are the tool through which I will create more happiness and more love and more joy in the world. See, so it doesn't necessarily have to be, I'm going to become a politician and I'm going to work at the United Nations. The kindness of how you greet your neighbors, how you shovel your neighbor's snow or even checking in on them. Your confectionery creations of kindness. That's all it takes. Leave this world a better place than how you found it. Your legacy is how kind you are and how loving you are and how forgiving you are and how divine you choose to allow yourself to be and therefore to express. So why not leave the world a better place so that the next generation doesn't inherit the trash and the trauma of the previous generation that inherited it from the previous generation, the hand-me-downs of hate, we can end that and leave love. Sow seeds that grow trees that we will never live to sit under and enjoy the shade. Trees that we will never enjoy the fruit of, but we sow the seeds nonetheless. How do we come together as the varied pieces? Because we are able to build this world that we say we want to. No, it doesn't exist yet, but are we willing to imagine it, to then be it, to ask what is ours to do? What do I want to create? How or what is necessary for me to create it? Because if we don't even have the conversation, then what are we doing? Anyone who is building a skyscraper or a house, everybody has to be on the same page. Everyone has to know this is where the door goes and this is where the staircase goes. You dreamt it, you drew it, we build it based upon the blueprints. But if we're not sharing information, we're not in communication, then how do we effectively cooperate and collaborate with one another? Is that why we are not right now already living into a world that works for all? Breathe. If everyone decided to forgive at least one person who hurt them, by the end of the year, the world would be filled with people exchanging hugs and kisses instead of words and bullets. Is there someone that you need to forgive? And remember, forgiveness isn't necessarily, this doesn't mean that when you forgive that person, you're going to go hug and kiss them. It means that when we forgive, it increases the energy. That simply means there will be more hugs and kisses, period. Doesn't mean, yeah, but they hurt me, I don't want to hug or kiss them. That's not forgiveness anyway. You can hug and kiss other people, but you are no longer allowing them to be the anchor around your neck that is pulling you under. To actively embody and engage the science of mind and spirit 4.0 as a way of life is to consciously accept, embody, and act from the awareness that each of us has the capacity and the power to be an agent of life-affirming change. Every interaction with every person can be an opportunity for healing and evolution. Even if we do not see what grows from the seeds that we plant them nonetheless. To what degree do we know what Science of Mind and Spirit 4.0 is? To what degree are we practicing it? To what degree are we living it as a way of life by being it? This week's affirmation declaration, I will say it first, and if it resonates with you, I invite you to repeat it with me the second time. As I heal, I change the world. As I forgive, I change the world. As I love, I change the world. Together, as I heal, I change the world. As I forgive, I change the world. As I love, I change the world. And so it is. This week's Thursday night study group questions for discussion or your own personal journal reflections. What is something I do today to make the world a better place? Who can I forgive? Who can I support? Who can I listen to? Number 2. What are 3 examples of something I have done that I know impacted someone's life in a life-affirming way? What are 3 examples of how someone else did something that impacted me in life-affirming ways? What does the Sermon by the Sea invite and inspire me to be and to do? And number 5, what will I begin doing as soon as possible in order to embody and be the change that I want to see and experience in the world? Breathe. This week, our opportunity to continue the practice: share with 2 people something that you appreciate about someone for how that person impacted and influenced you in your life. Cool. And so let us join in that consciousness and awareness of the thing we refer to as prayer, knowing that prayer is nothing to do with us trying to change God, but prayer is a declaration of what we know to be true. And in knowing it to be true, we then act based upon the knowing. And so as we gather in the energy of this awareness, each of us one divine expression of the infinite one, we have the ability, the power, the wisdom, the creativity, the imagination. We have all that we need right now to influence and impact the world in life-affirming ways right now. Whether we think we need more money, more time, more something, that's incorrect. We are whole, perfect, and complete right now. We have the ability right now to be that presence and that power. And yes, as we increase awareness, yes, as we increase in knowledge and wisdom and creativity or whatever that is, yes, then it simply means we have more seeds that we can share. More, feed the 5,000, feed the 10,000, feed the 10 million. But it starts with one. One seed becomes one plant that yields 100 tomatoes. One seed becomes one tree that yields 1,000 apples. And from the 1,000 apples, each filled with 5 to 10 seeds that have thousands upon thousands upon thousands to infinity, apples and orchards. Every word we speak is that seed. Every thought we think is that seed. Every emotion and feeling and every action is that seed that creates the orchard of change and transformation in the world. Like Jesus said, be ye therefore perfect, just as God is perfect. Be it. He didn't say do it. Be it. And you cannot be something you aren't already. I cannot be a mother. I can't. But I can be a father, a dad, a grandfather, a mentor, a leader, a minister, a teacher, a motivator, an artist, and more. I can be that because it is already in my capacity based on what I already am. And as I choose to be more of what I am, then I can be even more of what I already am. So yes, be ye therefore perfect and whole and complete, because that's what God is. That's what the universe is. And from this wholeness, perfection, and completeness, we change the world in life-affirming ways. That is our purpose. So we breathe, knowing that the law does what it always does, according to plan. It receives the blueprint, it assembles the construction team, the contractors, the foremen, and all the other pieces and materials, and it does what it needs to do to build what we have imagined, what we have spoken into it and affirmed, declared into it, what we have felt into it, how our actions move into it, how we embody it, how we live as the very amen of our lives. So just like all call and response, we say amen, the law, amen. We say, and so it is, the law says, and so it is. That means it's done. So we breathe and celebrate in advance. And so it is. Much love, appreciation, and blessings as always. Have an amazing and wonderful week. I know I am, because in 3 days, it's my birthday. I'll be 60. I'll be 60. Yes, I'm. Woo! Love and appreciate you. See you soon.